Hi, I'm Michael Bender, and today we're in front of the whiteboard to talk about our first lesson in estimating basics. One of the first things to consider when asking for estimates is what kind of estimate are we looking for? There are in fact two kinds. The first one is an effort estimate. The effort estimate tells us the actual amount of work that has to be done in order for an individual to complete a task. The way I describe it in the seminar is, I lock you in a room, I hook up Ringer's lactate into your arm so you're not going to need any food. If you want some coffee, we'll just shoot it into the IV bag. I'm going to hook up a catheter to you. I'm going to turn off your internet access and turn off your phone. No phones, no lights, no motor cars, not a single luxury. And you actually work on the activity without distraction. That's an effort estimate. The second kind of estimate is a duration estimate. This, of course, tells us how long it will take you on a calendar. So, I go up to a team member and I ask for an estimate. Now, of course, the first question is, what kind do I ask for? Well, if I'm delegating a task, usually I'm going to ask for an effort estimate. This tells me the amount of time it actually takes a human to do the activity. So I go up to a team member, we'll use Bob. I go up to Bob and say, Bob, effort, actual dedicated time working on the activity, how long will it take you? Bob says, Bender, I think I can do that in about 40 hours. Okay, so our effort estimate is 40 hours. Now, can I put Bob down for a week on this activity? Well, no. I can't hook up a catheter. I can't hook up Ringer's lactate. Obviously, Bob is going to be doing other things during the day. So let's take a look at things we typically do during the day, which is not project work. I call this the other stuff list. The other stuff list consists of all those activities we do during a day for which we get paid that is not project work. Well, what kinds of things go here? Well, most people have to deal with emails. Of course, you may get called into meetings. Now, obviously, project meetings should be included in the project estimates, but not all meetings are project meetings. You may have staff meetings, you may have communication meetings, HR meetings. All these need to be included. And again, I can't hook up a catheter to you, or I can't hook up Ringer's lactate. You are both a social and biological being. You have biological needs. You have social needs. Sometimes you just can't stand looking at the screen anymore and you just need to get up and socialize with somebody. So we add to the list biological and social. Now, some people will include lunch for this. If you get paid for lunch, absolutely you need to include it. If you don't get paid for lunch, you don't. Well, what other kinds of things do you need to do? Well, I assume at some point you're going to want to take a vacation. You get holidays, and sadly, once in a while, you may need to call in sick. Holidays, vacation, sick. Some of you may need to do travel during your work. We'll include travel time. Then there's those always present emergencies. Some catastrophe is going on, a client is upset, the servers are down, somebody has an issue. This would also include when your equipment is not working and you need to get it fixed. Emergencies. And of course, no organization is without administration. Timesheets, if you happen to do them, filling out HR forms, expense reports. admin. Now let's take a look at the amount of time we spend doing each of these during a typical week. Now obviously results are going to vary. What I typically do in a classroom is I go through the list and I try to get a class average. And I'll use conservative results that I typically get in a classroom. So, for example, let's talk about emails. Now we're going to do this on a weekly basis. And emails obviously we handle daily. So we're going to determine the amount of time we spend each day and multiply by 5. So ask yourself, how much time do you spend doing emails in a day? Well, numbers I typically get are 1 to 2 hours a day. I get much higher numbers, but let's be conservative and let's call it 1 hour per day, which means in a typical week, we'll have 5 hours. Meetings. Again, non-project meetings. Numbers for this, again, vary greatly. The higher up you are in the organization, typically the more time you're going to spend in meetings. But even the engineers, scientists, and technologists, which you'd think would be working, spend a lot of time in meetings. Again, I will give a conservative estimate based on some of the feedback I get in classrooms. Let's call it an hour a day or 5 hours per week. Biological and social. Coffee breaks, smoke breaks if you do them, just getting up and chit-chatting with your friends, by the water cooler, talking about the movies you saw. Some days I just can't look at a machine anymore. I just can't look at that screen. I go out and take a walk around the building. Again, numbers vary. Some people can work concentrated very well. Some people just need to get up and move around. Again, let's talk about an hour per day. 2 15-minute breaks, plus a little chit-chat here and there, getting in the morning, getting your coffee. Let's call it an hour today, an hour a day, and again, 5 hours per week. Holiday, vacation, sick. Well, we'll do this on an annual basis. So let's assume you get 2 weeks paid vacation. Let's assume you get 10 paid holidays. And let's assume you call in sick 5 days out of the year. That's about 5 weeks out of 52. That's about 10%. 10% of a 40-hour week is 4 hours. Travel. Some people travel, some don't. For the sake of this discussion, let's just say it's 0. Emergencies, firefighting, catastrophes, equipment going down. Well, again, it's going to depend on your environment. Let's call it a half hour a day, 2.5 hours a week. Admin, filling out timesheets, filling out expense reports, just dealing with the usual things we need to do in an organization. Numbers I get on this are generally pretty low. Let's call it a half hour a week. Now, there are other things we can add to this. Mentoring, helping out your fellow mankind. What are you doing now? You're training. You're not working. Training would need to be included in this. But let's just take a look at these and see where we are. Well, this will give me 10 hours. We have 3 down here. We have 4 there. We have 5 there. That's going to be another 12. We're already at 22 hours per week, and we haven't done any work yet, including our normal job or any project work. The numbers are real. I've done an analysis on this, and honestly, there's only one item that we can really pull out of a typical work week. Obviously, if you're on vacation, you're not working. So during a typical task, I'd probably not consider this. That'll save us about 4 hours, but that still brings us to 18 hours a week not working. And again, we haven't talked about mentoring, helping out your teammates. We haven't talked about training, what you're doing now. So let's conservatively say 50% of your time is spent doing other things. That means if Bob, remember Bob? If Bob requires 40 hours of dedicated work, but I only have 50% of them, how long will it take him on a calendar? Well, 1 week of effort, I only have half of them, means it's going to take him 2 weeks on a calendar. Now, there's a massive assumption I made here. One is, Bob has nothing else to do besides my project. So ask yourself, how many projects are you working on? Again, the numbers I get in classrooms vary greatly. I get very, very few people working on only 1 or 2 projects. Most people are working on 4, 5, and 6 projects, and I get people working on 20 projects at a time. Well, let's use 5 as a number just so we can figure out how the math works. If he needs 2 weeks just to do this project, he's going to need 10 weeks if he's working on 4 other projects besides mine. The numbers are real, and they are scary. It's amazing how inefficient some companies operate. Again, your numbers vary. I encourage you to create your own list. Just take a typical workday, figure out what kinds of activities can occur during that day which distract you from getting work done, and just make your own estimates of how much time you spend dealing with each of those issues. I think the numbers might surprise you. The amount of time that a person has compared to the amount of effort it takes is called percent utilization. And the equation is the amount of effort divided by the duration. In this case, 10%. Essentially, I only have 10% of Bob. In subsequent training, we will take a look at what we can do about this and how we can improve it. I hope this lesson has opened your eyes on some of the basic techniques of estimating. We look forward to seeing you in another micro lesson.